problems on functions of random variables. So you are given the density function or the probability mass function of a certain random variable, but you're interested in some function of a random variable, and so how do you find the probability distribution of that new random variable? So the method is always these 3 steps. So you can practice more problems at home if you like.
Sorry, I have one more question. Now, when you wrote over here, did you write a negative 1 over a, so it makes it positive?
It just times.
Okay.
Dot. Dot.
So that if a is negative, then f of x will be negative.
No, it will not. I mean, f of x always positive. Density functions are never negative.
Okay.
Which is why this works out so perfectly, because if a is negative, in any case we had 1 over a, but
right.
When a is negative, we end up with 1 minus this, so when you differentiate, you have this negative sign here.
Okay.
So the negative with negative a gives you something positive.
Oh, so it's that no matter what.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And you should have already guessed that you'd get something with this, because you know it can never be negative, because a density function is always non-negative, right? So if you do end up with an answer where, say, if you've forgotten about this negative sign, another hint that you've gone wrong is that you've ended up with a negative answer here, and that's not acceptable for density function.
Are there any examples of story problems where you'd want to use functions of random variables?
So, I mean, I can think of cases where it's squared, let's see. You could have something like, say, a kind of story problem could be something like, you're given the demand function, okay, and you're given a cost function also. So both are going to be functions of x, which is the amount sold, okay. So, or let's say, demand and price is a function of x. So when you have to multiply the two to get the revenue, let's say the price times demand, you might end up with x squared. I mean, can make that with me? So sometimes you could have like problems like this. Supposing x is the amount produced, amount of something being produced, okay? And you're given some probability, let us say probability mass function, let's say assume there's just 3 things. So say you're given the probability mass function for x, okay? So the probability that you produce 100,000 or 50,000 units or something. And then you can have C of x, which is the cost function. So your cost function could look like maybe like a linear function of x. Okay. So then as x produces, so there's some initial cost which is like overheads plus then per unit it increases like that. So it could be some function of the form ax plus b. Or I mean, maybe you could have like, you know, you have something like this, because this is something in economics, I think. You have let's say economies of scale kind of kick in, so the cost doesn't increase that much. So maybe you have then a quadratic function. So I mean square root. Yeah. So you could have a function like that, and then I could ask you, well, find the expected cost of this. So then you'd have to find expected value of the function. But expected cost would be easy, but then supposing I asked you just find the probability mass function of the cost function. Then you'd have to find the probability mass function. What's the probability that the cost will be less than or equal to some value? And then you look at that. So this is a possible word problem. So you will definitely be able to identify what function has been given, and you'll be given something like information about the probability mass function of x, and something which translates to some function of x, and the question will be regarding that function of x. Well, cost function or whatever function it is. I'm thinking of other kinds of